Hello team, today I'll be reviewing a game that'll make you hate your friends. It's the new Gauntlet game, out now on Steam. Developed by Arrowhead Game Studios and published by WB Games, Gauntlet tells the tale of four intrepid adventurers tasked by the wizard Morak to brave the fabled dungeon Gauntlet and find the shards of the legendary weapon Tyrfing. Gauntlet takes place across 3 zones with 4 stages in each zone, but each stage also has 3 segments, so there's a fair bit of content. This modern reboot boasts new features and randomly generated dungeons, but still manages to preserve the classic Gauntlet experience from the old arcade days. It also includes couch and online co-op, so consumers can play it with their friends however they want. The main question a reboot raises, however, is does this game feel like the old Gauntlet games? And the answer is both yes and no. Gauntlet adds a bunch of different mechanics to bring some variety to the classes, yet the game still plays like the classic Gauntlet games. The 4 classes each have their own unique gameplay to them. The Warrior is the fast and beefy melee character with AoE attacks and heavy hits. The Valkyrie is the more defensive melee class with an impenetrable shield and quick dashes. The Archer is the primary ranged unit with heavy damage attacks and a spammable evasion. And the Wizard is the jack-of-all-trades character with a magic system based on button combos dictating your spells. Each character has 2 relic slots, which sort of replaces the magic system. Relics have a variety of effects that can be leveled up, but you need flasks to use them, and much like the classic Gauntlet games, these flasks are hard to come by. There are passive buffs that you can earn by doing various things like amplifying damage or spawning golden barrels, but they are earned by playing the game, so it's somewhat effortless to get. Each dungeon has you running around butchering the local monsters and mob generators, looting every filthy piece of treasure you find, and beating up bosses at the end of each zone. Death is punished by losing a % of cash and using a skull coin to continue, but luckily coins are earned by murdering enemies, so competent players have a slow drip of continues as they play. The big draw for Gauntlet, however, is the arcade co-op experience. Online co-op is handled through Steamworks, and the online is extremely stable even under high traffic circumstances. Co-op in this game is great because it has a tendency to promote competition. Gold isn't shared evenly at the end of each dungeon, and its distribution is based on effort, so co-op players often go wild in an effort to become the top dog of the group for more money. A new mechanic in this reboot of Gauntlet is the Crown, a unique reward given to those who manage to find and hold onto it until the end of a level, but one hit from an enemy easily wrenches it from the player's grasps for other players to get. Health pickups are limited and obviously fought over, but players can also destroy food outright and be a total jerk to other players. The capacity to do so much to screw over your fellow man is a great contrast to the valuable co-op assistance, providing a frantic and entertaining experience as you play alongside your friends or just as you pub crawl. Gauntlet is very refreshing with all the new mechanics added to it. The classic Gauntlet games and its former successors never really did much to break outside the simple arcade format, but this reboot adds variety while still keeping the spirit of the series. Each class has a role to fill in terms of typical video game cliches, but they're also built to be entirely viable in single player. The relic mechanic substituting for magic also adds variety to each of these core classes, allowing for things such as wizards with magic spamming clones, or warriors that leave a fire trail with their dash. Each class has their own appeal and unique mechanics to work with. The wizard's magic system plays much like Magicka's magic invocation system and demands technical prowess. The archer plays similar to a twin-stick shooter, and the warrior is just good old-fashioned arcade button mashing. The gold system from the classic games is also back. Gold gained from the dungeon can be used to purchase relics as well as visual changes to your character for the discerning treasure leader. Finally, the passives in this game offer minor upgrades such as more treasure or move speed for certain zones, but exist mainly to make subsequent playthroughs on harder modes much more reasonable. Despite all the new things added, the spirit of the classic Gauntlet game still remains in this reboot and is certainly a proper successor to the series. There are some problems with this new Gauntlet though, mostly involving presentation. Perhaps the biggest issue is the camera in multiplayer. Much like classic arcade games, the camera tries to center itself based on where all the heroes are. This isn't a problem in single player since you're always centered, but in multiplayer with 4 guys running around randomly this can be a problem. The camera will stop at a certain point if 2 people are running in opposite directions, which can cause problems with evasion or just trying to get rid of a meddlesome pest. I feel like Arrowhead kept this in order to preserve the spirit of the franchise, but with all the cramped fights in this game, this generally leads to irritating deaths. Another issue with presentation is the HUD. It isn't bad or overly obstructive, but it does cover a bit of the bottom of the screen that enemies come from. This also causes problem with evasions as you can't account for certain enemies and oftentimes yourself in co-op, which can lead to more deaths. Additionally, I feel like the crown is a bit of a double-edged sword. Sure, it promotes taking a huge risk for a big reward, but it also promotes bad behaviors. Players with the crown will often not want to lose it, which generally leads to people staying out of the fight. This also coincides with camera issues, since being out of the fight means being a fixed point for the camera and hindering progress. Also, any non-hero hit jars the crown from the player's grasp. Depending on your friends, this could lead to dastardly deeds such as using the red barrel to painfully wrench the crown loose, or guiding enemy attacks to the crown wielder. Finally, I feel like the wizard is weaker overall compared to everyone else. Despite having access to 9 unique abilities, none of them are as fast or as spammable as the simple warrior slash or Valkyrie dash, and priming each spell takes a split second away from attacking. The wizard is fun to play, but his core mechanics are widely inefficient when you're in a game that was originally just about mashing out attacks to fight back a mob. The game engine for Gauntlet is very well done. It uses roughly 2 GB of hard drive space and only about 500 KB of memory, but a somewhat high amount of processing power. The control systems are nice, offering native support for controllers with X input and keyboard mouse controls, and even asking you which scheme you want to use every single time you start up the game. The options menu is alright, offering everything expected from a PC game, though lacking in more detailed option flexibility. Gauntlet is also very well optimized, running usually at a smooth 60 frames per second, but dipping to an average of 30 when huge amounts of enemies appeared. I'm pretty sure that my frames per second issue is based on outdated hardware though, so take my statement with a grain of salt. The game engine is really well programmed, which is a gold star in my book. Gauntlet does a great job of making the old brand fresh and new again. The spirit of the franchise is there, but Arrowhead's improvements to the mechanics also make it stand out as a truly improved sequel. If you're a longtime fan of the Gauntlet franchise or a fan of arcade-style games, you certainly won't be disappointed by this game. If you're a blind consumer, however, I'd be wary of this purchase unless you have friends to play with, since the game shines best when played with co-op. At the very least, Arrowhead did a great job with this reboot and did not disappoint me.